Hello, I'm Britt.
Hi, I'm Emily.
Nice to meet
Nice
you.
to meet you too.
I read to you the statement to share before we began, correct?
Yes.
All right, so what brings you in today to talk to me?
Well, actually, my friend told me to come.
Okay.
She's very worried about me, I guess. She's been seeing different emotions in me then it's kind of concerning her, which I never really think about, obviously. I never see it as a problem, but I'm mostly here for her. And I do think that recently, I have been acting a little differently, and I think it's a lot of things that maybe I just haven't, resolved within myself. I haven't really been dealing with them because I just try not to, make it a big deal, but actually it might actually be a big deal, so.
What kind of things have you been doing that have made her so worried about you?
I think it's a lot of, different things. I think coming, first semester of college is already a lot, but I knew, before I left, my family was having issues too, and I just kind of left it and wanted to leave it, but now that I'm here, I feel kind of, guilty that I'm not there.
So you kind of bottled it up, and then
Yeah.
now that you're here, it's all coming out?
Yeah, when I bottled it up too, I wasn't really making the best decisions when I first came here, and all of that backfired on me too. So it was the issues that here kind of blew up, and now the issues that are at home are kind of blowing up all at once, and I think it's just having an effect on my relationships with my friends and basically just everything.
What kind of issues have you been trying to deal with?
The big one is my dad at home. He's an alcoholic, and I guess he's been an alcoholic for a while now, but I never, I've always been closer with my dad than anyone else, so I always just blew it off, because, nothing's ever really affected me, or I haven't really noticed it. I've just kind of, denied it. But my mom's been super concerned about it, and I realized that with me and my brother, I have a twin brother, and we both left for college, leaving my younger brother home alone to deal with it, it's really it's more evident, and it's having an effect on him more so than, I guess, me and Alex, but I know he texted me, Jackson, my little brother that's still home, he texted me one night and said, well, me and my friends, I had a few friends over, and we had to leave because Dad was so out of hand, and it was really embarrassing. He was like, has that ever happened to you? And it just kind of, broke my heart a little bit.
Has it maybe made you kind of stop, and does it ever distract you from what's going on here to think about what could be going on there?
I think when I think about it, a feeling is associated with it more so me trying to think about what's actually happening. I think it just that denial, that because I've always been denying it, and if I think about it, I'll just say no, and then I'll go do something stupid, I'll drink, or I'll go hang out with people I know I shouldn't be hanging out with that are also harming me, just things that I know I shouldn't be doing, just to try to avoid that, which is very not good. And I usually I don't know, I just think all of it's kind of catching up to me.
In what ways do you think that it's catching up to you?
I just stress out a lot. I'm very anxious about everything, because I know when I make stupid decisions, I think about all my friends and how if they knew what I was doing, they would not want to be my friends.
When you say your friends, do you mean your friends back home, or friends here that you have?
Yeah, see, that's also, it's very complicated, I guess. There's so many things that go into it, but my friends from home don't know anything about it. I haven't talked to them about it. So I think they just see me as the person that they remember when I was at home. And then my friends here, I think they're starting to see that I'm not actually okay, but they don't know everything either.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard. And I don't feel like there's one person that I can go to with everything. There's a person I can go to with one aspect of it, but then I wouldn't be able to trust her with another part, so I'll have to go back and forth, and then I'm just worried that I'm just talking to too many people, and that, I don't know, everything just kind of makes me anxious about the whole thing.
Are you ever afraid that one day you could end up being an alcoholic like your father? Does that ever scare you?
Yeah, and I think, like, my mom always jokes to me, just, like, being a freshman in college, like, did you drink last night? I'm like, no, I didn't. She goes, I think you're lying. Like, I know you drink. And I'm like, yeah. And then whenever I do drink, like, I guess, like, when it's acceptable, like, on a weekend or something, like, I don't really think anything of it, but sometimes, like, I know I drink when I shouldn't be drinking, and I just sit there and think about, like, well, this is almost hereditary. Like, it is a hereditary thing. Like, it's not just my dad. Like, it's his mom. It's his dad. It kind of just gets passed down. And so I realized that, like, yeah, well, maybe this is, like, actually a possibility.
Have you ever tried to speak to your dad about it and tell him how you're feeling or what you think about or what your take on the situation is, or do you just try to avoid that?
I would say avoid it more so, but I have talked to him a little bit. And it's not really about what I'm feeling. It's more like my mom, because she thinks that he would listen to me. And I think he sees that when I try to talk to him about it. So he'll, like, come up with excuses or, like, lie about it, or just not, like, it doesn't really get anywhere. Because him and my mom, like, don't get along. So if he knows that she's behind something, like, he won't be honest about it.
Do you feel like you could talk to, I know you said you had a twin brother, that you guys are extremely close. Do you feel like you could talk to him about it, or do you feel like you can't?
I feel like I could. It's just not the same because we're not really together. And, like, when we do talk, because I obviously, like, that's another hard thing, like, just being away from him. Like, I've never been away from him before. And I think, like, when we do talk, we just talk about, like, what's going on with us. And I know, like, we're both not at home anymore, so, like, we don't really have to deal with it, like, firsthand. So it just isn't the first thing that comes up. And I never really actually have talked to him about it, so, like, I don't even know if he thinks it's a problem.
Do you think that you could talk to him about it when you guys are together? Like, the next time you were to be together, do you think that you would be able to, or do you think that you wouldn't?
I think that we could, but it's just, like, I don't know. We haven't really, like, we can talk to each other about serious stuff, but it's not, like, a deep conversation or anything. Like, I think we both just kind of feel what the other's feeling, and we're just kind of, like, there for each other for support, but we never really, like, actually discuss what's going on.
And do you ever try to, think back to a time where, you know, your dad wasn't, like, how he is now, and try to think of, like, the good times for those?
I mean, I really haven't seen anything bad. Like, I realized, like, he gets drunk a lot, yeah, but, like, I used to always think it was funny. Like, I thought he was a really fun person, and I know that's just, like, who he was, or, like, is. He's not. Yeah. But I know, like, the thing that's the real problem is that how much, like, it affects my mom. Because my mom and him used to get along really well, but, like, now my mom is, like, a diehard Christian, and he drinks because he thinks that she's annoying and doesn't want to listen to her. And it's more, like, them fighting all the time. Then, like, he doesn't ever do anything, like, super drastic when he's drunk. It's just more annoying, I guess, than anything. But again, like, I always, like, have loved my dad. So, like, I know it's bad, but, like, I always, like, laugh along with him, or I don't encourage it, but, like, I don't, like, tell him to stop either, because I just I never really thought about it, I guess.
So you kind of just didn't really realize that it was like this until, what, like the last year or so, or has it been longer that you noticed it?
I would say, like, close to, like, when I left, and then, like, once I actually got here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I met someone here who very much resembles, like, an alcoholic. And so, like, I spent a lot of time with him, too. And that's another thing that I've kind of, like, been dealing with. Like, it's been a very toxic relationship. And I think that's like when I started to see like what like effect it can have on a person. So then I kind of translated that back over, like, I wonder if that's like what my mom is feeling like to some degree, and like how my little brother is like, it's not like a real relationship.
So
that's when I kind of started like thinking about like what a problem it actually could be at home, and then that's kind of like where I started like thinking about that more, and that kind of like didn't settle well.
So did meeting this person kind of help you realize that your dad was one as well, and kind of like solidify that, or did you think that you always knew, or you just kind of pushed it back, and meeting this person made it like kind of come up? And
I think it was honestly a little bit of both, because I have denied it, and I think just like seeing that at first, it was like, oh wow, like he's kind of like my dad, huh? And I like being around him for that reason, just because he did remind me of like the personality, I guess. He didn't like look like my dad or anything like weird like that. But after things kind of like went downhill with that relationship, I kind of like, it completely like tore me in half, and I realized that that's probably what was going on at home, and I couldn't do anything about it. Like, no one was there for me, and I knew no one was there for my mom and my little brother too.
Are you afraid that your dad continuing to drink could have an even more negative effect on his relationship with your mom?
Yeah. And I didn't think that was a thing. Like, that never crossed my mind until, like, not too long ago. So now it's just hard. Like, they don't even... It's really bad right now. Like, then they're too stubborn, like, to get a divorce. Like, they don't believe that's, like, the right thing to do. So, like, neither of them are really doing anything about that. But they just kind of avoid it altogether also. I've noticed, like, one weekend when my mom was coming to pick me up, my dad also came up. Like, they drove separately, and neither of them knew that, like, the other was picking me up. Like, that's how much they don't talk. So seeing that was really hard. And then they both just blame each other when stuff like that happens. So it's just kind of, like, back and forth. It's just, like, gets nowhere. And my dad's not, like, he denies it. So he doesn't try to do anything to change. And my mom really doesn't try to do anything to compromise with him either. So it's kind of a helpless situation.
How do you ever talk to your mom about how you feel about it? Or if there's anything that she feels like she could do, or...
She usually just talks to me, like, she'll say, like, it's getting really bad, or, like, saying, like, you need to pray for it, and stuff like that. And it sounds bad, but whenever she goes on that tangent, like, it just annoys me more than anything, so I just kind of, like, stay silent, or, like, I know, like, that's really all that happens. Like, I feel like I can talk to her, and she can talk to me, but I don't know, it's just, like, I just get annoyed, and I don't know why. So that's probably another issue.
Do you ever... You have a younger brother. You said that he's had to have friends leave when they've been over before because your dad gets out of hand. Does he talk to you about your father? Has he talked to you about him besides that, or?
Not really. I think that was the first time, and I think, like, maybe now he will a little bit more, but it's just, like, a hard subject to bring up, because, like, when I do get to see him, that's not really, like, how I want to spend my time with him. I know that's not how he wants to, like, spend his time with me. So I feel like maybe over this break, since it's a longer one, like, I'll be home for 2 weeks. Like, I haven't been home for more than, like, 4 days at a time since I've come. That it's definitely something I might try to talk about, but also, like, I don't really know what to do, like, how to approach that. So.
And how do you feel? Do you feel like, knowing that this is all going on back home, do you feel like it is affecting your studies here, or anything else that you're doing here, or do you feel like do you feel like it's hindering you here at all?
I feel like in some sense, yes. Like, I just question a lot of things. And I know, like, when I was choosing schools, my dad wasn't a huge fan of Valpo just because it was farther away and it was more expensive. And he was like, I just don't see a point in you going here when you can go like Ball State for half the price, and you'd be like 30 minutes away from home instead of 3 hours. And he's like, you're just going there to swim. Like, he wasn't very supportive, and like I know he's fine about it now. So like I question like, okay, well, why actually am I here? Like, I really don't have a certain thing that I know I want to do. And study wise, like I'm not like my grades aren't lacking or anything. Like I'm still keeping up and doing everything. But I just like I think I'm more afraid to try things. Like I'm afraid to like open up to people because of it. Because I know like my mom definitely feels like rejected because of like him. And I know like he doesn't really like love her anymore, so like kind of got over it, and I feel like that's gonna happen if I like try to be in a relationship like that. So I'm like scared to open up to people because I feel like I won't be enough, or that I'll like get over it really fast, and like it would just end up badly either way. And I feel like that with my friends too. I feel like it's more like a relationship kind of thing that it's hindering me more so than school, but I mean, I can find it anywhere.
So you feel as though this issue is hindering you, not swimming wise or school wise, but with the people that you surround yourself with?
Yeah. I just feel like I question everything instead of like going about it confidently, like knowing it's the right thing to do, because I just like don't feel like anything I'm doing is the right thing to do.
Is there anything that you ever do that kind of helps you forget about what, not necessarily forget, but occupy your mind in a way that you don't think during that time about what's going on back home or what could be going on back home?
Yeah, and that's like the things that I probably shouldn't be doing.
Like what?
Like lying to my roommate about where I'm going. And I'm breaking a lot of the rules being a swimmer. And like I don't know. It's a lot of things.
Have you ever been able to maybe step back from doing those things and try to find other ways to occupy your mind in different ways?
Yeah, I guess earlier on, like when I got here, I could not be alone. Like I did not. If I sat by myself for more than 5 minutes, I would go crazy. So I'd always try to find someone to like hang out with or talk to. And I know like I probably made too many friends coming here, which sounds stupid, but like really, I like found like my identity. Like it felt stability like when I through my friends. So like I would just go to a different one, and if like they couldn't do anything, I'd go to someone else, or I'd be so open to like meeting new people and like being really outgoing. But then like if something small happened, like not a big deal at all, I would overthink it, and then it would destroy me. So then I would like have to make sure everything was okay. That's kind of like I started just getting anxious about everything. So I figured like maybe friends wasn't the best go-to. So maybe like I felt like I was just harming everybody almost. So like I figured if I like was only doing stuff that affected me, like it wouldn't matter.
Was there any friend in particular? Have you found any friend in particular to help you more than others?
Some of my friends, like, they can relate. Like, they've been, like, depressed or anxious or just had shit going on. And some of my other friends, like, are understanding about it, but then, like, I can tell also get annoyed. So, like, I just have to be different people around, like, some of my friends than I am with others. And I feel like that's how I am with, like, everybody. Like, there's not just, like, one person that I can actually, like, be, like, my whole self with.
So you feel as though you almost change who you are, or you change who you are by who you hang out with, do you feel as though you have to do?
Yeah, and not, like, really change, like, who I am, but just, like, have a certain guard up when I'm with that person, almost. Just, like, about things to say or things to talk about. And, like, some of my friends are, like, really good friends with each other, so, like, I know, and, like, I don't want everyone to know a certain thing, so, like, I don't know. And if I'm upset, like, one day one of my friends walked in on me, like, doing my homework, but I was just, like, having a complete breakdown, and she was like, what's wrong? And I, like, had to make something up. on the spot because like I didn't want to tell her what was actually going on. So I feel like it's just a lot of like lying that I have to keep up with almost. Like not like I'm lying to them, but it's just like stressful not being able to share everything with everyone, I guess.
What kind of memories, like good memories, do you have with your dad? Do you like ever use them to kind of not necessarily forget about what's going on, but to just
Yeah, I always think about like my favorite thing about him is that he's so like laid back, like easygoing, and like he doesn't really let anything affect him, like in a good way. And like if something bad happens, well now I guess he kind of has an anger problem with it because of his drinking, but like he usually just like lets things go, and he like has his own way of doing things, and he's not afraid of doing them. Like this is stupid, but like driving around like not going the speed limit or like changing lanes really fast or just like taking a different way, and my mom would be like, "That's not faster," and then he'd be like, "Yeah, it is, and it actually will be faster." Like he's just not afraid to like do his own thing, and so I always think about that. Like when I like don't know what to do or I'm like kind of nervous about doing something, like I just kind of like think about that, and it kind of like gives me the confidence to just go with it, and like whatever happens happens.
So do you feel like that trait of his is something that you have gotten or developed over the years, or do you not necessarily have it but would like to?
Yeah, I think it's something that I didn't have naturally, but it's something like definitely now I've learned to kind of just do, and like I keep trying to get to that point where it's not uncomfortable for me to be like that. Like it just kind of like comes naturally. Like I just want to have that like laid back kind of perspective.
Do you think that that's helped you in a way coming away to school that's so far from home?
I think especially now, like trying to be like that, like whatever happens happens. I'm not gonna let things stress me out like they did first, like the first half of the year. Like I'm just gonna take everything as it comes and like try to do the best with what I have and what happens.
Have you been able to do that comparing the first half of the year to how far into the second half of the year we are? Do you think that would you say that you are doing better now than how you were then?
Yeah, I think I'm doing better in that sense, but it doesn't necessarily like always feel better, but I think it's definitely like I'm doing better with it, yeah.
And I know that you said that you had made bad decisions in the first half of the year. Do you think you've been better about do you think that you've made better choices this half so far?
In some senses, yes. Like some situations that I used to get myself into last semester aren't a thing anymore, but I still feel the need to go maybe do things that I know aren't right. But it hasn't gotten me into any trouble, thank the Lord. But yeah, I think I'm getting better with that, but it's not completely gone.
And if there was anybody that you could talk to about it, do you think that there is anybody that you could really go to and just tell them everything that you've been feeling, or do you still feel like there isn't anybody that you could really speak to that would be able to help you?
Yeah, I feel like I do have a friend that I could definitely go to, but the thing that stops me from going to her is that like I don't know if she like actually like genuinely would actually care, or like I mean I know she would care, but I just don't think like it would make a difference. So I just don't feel the need to talk about it.
So you feel as though you could talk to her, but speaking to her wouldn't help you?
Yeah, so I just don't want to put that on anyone.
Okay. Well, thank you for speaking to me today about everything and being so open and honest about everything that you've been going through. I hope it helped.